Let me tell you something. Something that is going to completely rearrange the way you see the world. There are two people, same city, same job, same salary, same bill sitting on the same kitchen table. 5 years later, one of them has savings, investments, a future being quietly built in the background. The other one, still broke, still stressed, still wondering where the money went. Not because of bad luck, not because the world was unfair, and definitely not because of how much money they were making. The difference between these two people has absolutely nothing to do with money. Nothing. And once you truly understand what it actually is, you will never look at wealth the same way again. You will never look at poverty the same way again. And honestly, you might never look at yourself the same way again. Here's where the story starts. In 2013, two of the most respected researchers on the planet, a Harvard economist named Sendhil Mullainathan and a Princeton psychologist named Eldar Shafir, published something. A discovery. And it was so disturbing, so uncomfortable, that economists and governments and neuroscientists are still trying to fully process it today. They were not studying lazy people. They were not studying people who made bad choices. They were studying something far more fundamental than that. They were studying what poverty actually does to the human mind. And what they found should terrify you. It should terrify anyone who has ever looked at a broke person and thought, they just need to work harder. Here is what they found. When your brain is under financial stress, when you are lying awake at night worried about rent, about the bill that is due, about whether you are going to make it to the end of the month, something happens. Something physical, something measurable. Your brain does not just feel stressed, it shrinks. Your available thinking power actually shrinks. They called it tunneling. When you are poor, your mind does something brutal. It locks. It locks onto the most immediate crisis in front of you. That overdue bill, that empty fridge, that loan repayment due on Friday. Your brain becomes a spotlight, and that spotlight can only point at one thing, the most urgent fire, the thing that feels like it will destroy you if you do not deal with it right now. And here is the part that should break your heart. While that spotlight is pointed at Friday, everything else goes dark. Long-term planning, gone. Future goals, gone. The decision to put 10% away this month, completely invisible. Because a brain that genuinely believes it will not survive the week does not care about next year. It cannot care about next year. This is not laziness. This is not stupidity. This is not a character flaw. This is a cognitive tax. Poverty is literally stealing the mental bandwidth you need to escape it. The trap uses the trap to keep you trapped, and it gets worse. Mullainathan and Shafir ran tests, real tests, IQ tests, cognitive performance tests, decision-making challenges. And what they found was shocking, even to them. The exact same person, same human being, scores measurably and significantly lower on every single test when they are thinking about financial stress. Not a different person, the same one, before and after a single reminder about money problems. How much lower? 13 IQ points. 13. That is the cognitive equivalent of pulling an all-nighter. That is what it feels like to your brain to be functionally drunk. And for millions of people, this is not one bad night. This is every single day. Think about what that means. You are already behind. And the one tool, the only tool you have to catch up, your ability to think clearly and make good decisions, is being eaten alive by the stress of being behind. That is the trap, not the money. The trap is what the absence of money does to your mind. But we are only halfway down the rabbit hole, because tunneling is just the beginning. There is something else, something researchers call a scarcity mindset. And it does not just change how you think, it changes what you want, at a deep level, at a neurological level. When you grow up without money, or when you have been broke long enough, your brain rewires itself. It stops thinking about building, it starts thinking about surviving. And when your brain is in survival mode, small rewards right now start feeling more valuable than large rewards later. Because your brain has learned, deeply, unconsciously learned, that later might never come. This is why someone with a scarcity mindset buys the cheap thing that breaks in 3 months instead of the slightly more expensive thing that lasts 3 years. Not because they cannot do the math. They can absolutely do the math. But their brain is screaming, 3 months from now is a problem for future me. Right now, I need a solution. Right now. And the brain built for scarcity will always, always choose right now. Economists call this high time preference, preferring a smaller reward today over a larger reward tomorrow. And here's the thing nobody ever tells you. The worse your financial situation gets, the higher your time preference becomes. Not because you decided that, not because you chose to think short term, because your brain adapted, because it had to, because that is what brains do when survival is the only thing on the menu. This is the mechanism. This right here is the actual reason poor people stay poor. Not because they do not want more, not because they do not work hard, but because the experience of being poor physically reshapes the brain that is trying to escape poverty. It builds a version of you that is perfectly optimized for scarcity. And a mind built for scarcity cannot build abundance. Those two things cannot exist in the same brain at the same time. But here is where everything changes. If the trap lives in the mind, then the exit lives in the mind too. You have just been told the wrong exit your entire life. You have been told, be more disciplined, work harder, spend less, save more, grind your way out. That advice is not wrong. It is just completely useless, because it assumes you already have the mental bandwidth to follow it. Telling someone whose cognitive resources are being consumed by survival to just make better financial decisions is like telling someone with a broken leg to run faster. Technically correct, practically meaningless. The real exit, the one that actually works, is this. You have to change the environment before you can change the behavior. You cannot willpower your way out of a scarcity mindset. Lives in the same part of your brain that scarcity has already stolen. But, and this is the key, you can build systems. You can restructure your world so that good financial decisions happen automatically, before your tunneled brain even has a chance to see the money, before the scarcity mindset can get its hands on it. This is exactly what Richard Thaler discovered, a Nobel Prize-winning economist who spent his career proving something uncomfortable, that humans do not make rational financial decisions. What he found was simple. When you automatically enroll people in savings plans, when the money moves before they ever touch it, savings go up, dramatically. Not because those people suddenly became more disciplined, because the decision was made before the scarcity mindset could interfere. The rich do not have more willpower than you. They are not stronger or more disciplined or more deserving. They have better systems, automatic investments, money that moves before they see it, wealth being built while they sleep, by rules they set on a calm afternoon, when the spotlight was wide and they could think clearly. The poor spend their willpower surviving, every single day. And when survival takes everything you have, there is nothing left over for building. Now here is the most important thing in this entire video. The thing I want you to remember tomorrow, and next week, and the next time you are making a financial decision while stressed. Every financial decision you make under stress is a decision made by a cognitively impaired brain. Not because you are weak, not because you are stupid, because you are human. Because every single human brain under resource stress defaults to tunneling, to scarcity thinking, to protecting the present at the absolute expense of the future. The solution is not to be stronger under pressure. The solution is to make your most important financial decisions when the pressure is off. Set them up in advance. Automate them. Lock them in. Let the calm version of you, the one with the wide spotlight and 13 extra IQ points, make the decisions that the panicking version of you would get wrong. You are not poor because you made bad choices. You are poor because scarcity created the conditions for bad choices, and then you made the only choices your brain was capable of making in that moment. That is not failure. That is physics. And physics, unlike willpower, can be engineered around. The trap was never the money. The trap was the belief that money was the first thing that had to change. Change the system. Let the system do the work your brain cannot do under pressure. Automate the escape. And watch. Watch. What happens when your mind finally has room to breathe, room to plan, room to think past Friday. The door out was never locked. You just could not see it, because the spotlight was pointing somewhere else. Mullainathan spent years sitting with low-income families, watching them make decisions that looked completely irrational from the outside and completely logical from the inside, from inside a brain running on empty, from inside a brain pointing a spotlight at Friday, unable to see Monday, unable to imagine Monday. And Shafir added something that should stop you cold. You do not need to be chronically poor for this to happen to you. Temporary financial stress does it. One bad month, one unexpected bill, one period of unemployment. Any of these, any of them, can temporarily collapse your cognitive bandwidth and pull you into tunneling. Which means this is not a story about someone else. This is not a documentary about people far away from your life. This is a description of a mechanism that lives inside your brain right now, sitting there, waiting, activated by the right conditions. The question is not whether your brain can be caught in this trap. It can. It will be. At some point in your life, it probably already has been. The only question that matters is whether you have built the systems that protect you when it happens. The automatic transfer, the locked savings account, the investment that grows while the stressed version of you is pointing a spotlight at something else. The financial decisions made by the calm version of you, enforced on the panicking version of you. Because the panicking version of you will lose to this trap, every time. Not because you are weak, because you are human. And this is what human brains do. Build the systems now, today, while the spotlight is wide, while you can see clearly. Because the only thing standing between where you are and where you actually want to be is not money. It never was. It is the size of the room your brain is allowed to think in. Make the room bigger. Everything else follows.